Hi guys, how have you guys been doing today? So it's Parker Loves the Ghost Narrator, the movie and TV show review. Got here once again with a new video. This is not a movie or TV show review. It's gonna be another book review from one of the Goosebumps books. It's called Goosebumps: The Haunting Returns, possibly from 2023. So this is based on Goosebumps Season 1 from 2023. I personally really like the new Goosebumps TV show. Because I love how they did with the books and that stuff, and I don't understand why people hate the show. But like, if you people out there have hated the show back then, I respect your opinion. But for me, I really like the show. So this is a novelization of Goosebumps Season 1 from 2023, Goosebumps: The Haunting Returns. Clever questions answered. It was the official Goosebumps novel based on the hit series included a brand new inclusive ending. Look, this whole new show wasn't like the original show, but I like it. So there's a synopsis on the back of the book. 30 years ago, Harold Biddle died in a tragic accident. Now the teenage kids of Harold's classmates are destined to find out what really happened to him all those years ago. As long as Harold's spirit doesn't exact his revenge first, but Harold Biddle isn't the only thing threatening the town of Parliament. For doppelgangers, the haunted books, and one creepy dummy is there, Margot, James, Lucas, and Isabella, to fight to stay alive at risk of becoming monsters themselves. This official novel tells the story of Goosebumps Season 1 plus additional scenes and information not seen on the show. So I reviewed Goosebumps Season 1 a while ago in October, and so I really enjoyed the first season of Goosebumps. I love it. Oh yeah, Lucas on the cover of it, Slappy. I know, I've seen him before. I know. They've always focused on Slappy. I know. They've always focused on him. So the new Goosebumps show, Disney Plus, it aired on Season 1. Season 1 aired on Disney Plus, and it was 10 episodes. Episode 1 was Sage Doesn't Die. Episode 2 was The Haunted Mask. Episode 3 was Cook Like of Doom. Episode 4 was Go Eat Worms. Episode 5 was Reader Beware. Episode 6 was Night of the Living Dummy. Episode 7 was Give Yourself Goosebumps. Episode 8 was You Can't Scare Me. Episode 9, Night of the Living Dummy Part 2. And finally, episode 10, Welcome to Horrorland. And the season's finale. So the main characters of Season 1 were Isaiah Howard, James Eaton, Margaret Stokes, Lucas Parker, and finally Isabella Chen Lopez. Her parents were Isaiah's father, Ben Howard, James' mom, Eliza, Isabella's mom, Victoria, and finally Margot's mom, Sarah. There's also another guy who's connected to all of this. So a long time ago, in 1993, there was a guy named Harold Biddle. He was a classmate in school. And he supposedly died, and then decades later, he comes back to take revenge on the people that killed him in 1993. And there's another guy who's connected to all this. It's Nathan Bratt, who becomes the English teacher, and he inherits the Biddle house, and then he ends up becoming possessed by the ghost of Harold Biddle. So now let's get into the plot of the story without getting further too much way of Goosebumps Season 1 from 2023. Yes, I know. So the story begins in 1993. Yes, I forgot to mention, these are all the kids on the cover of the book. It's Isaiah, James, Margot, Lucas, and Isabella, and then there's Brad and Nora. And Slappy. The story begins in 1993. The story takes place in Port Lawrence, and it was meet this history kid, this high school kid named Harold Biddle. So he leaves school, he's walking back home, he has all the Easter eggs from all the Goosebumps books. The Haunted Caverns from Sages and Die, the Haunted Mask from The Haunted Mask, the Clock from Cuckoo Clock of Doom, and the worms from Go Eat Worms. So he has the worms in the fish tank. Now the Haunted Mask is white. The clock is seen in the house and it sees the clock ticking. And the camera is like a Polaroid camera. And here it is a scrapbook. He begins working on it. And then later he hears ringing from the door, ringing from the doorbell from outside, but he discovers there's no one there. And then and the house is falling apart, and it plunges into darkness, and then I'm sorry. Then the light goes out, and Harold has a candle and heads to the basement, and the door shuts behind him. Hears banging from inside the house, and they bang on the basement door. Harold falls on the ground, and then the candle falls on too, and then Harold dies. So now we're going to the full story of the whole book, which I know. First story is about Sages and Die, and it's Isaiah Howard. So Isaiah Howard is the captain of the football scholarship. His question a girl named Allison. His neighbor is Margot Stokes. Isaiah's father Ben is a construction worker. And then a new guy named Nathan Bratz moves into the Biddle house, and he inherits the house. So it's revealed that the whole school is being trolled by this internet troll that's been online, trolling people online. So Allison's party invitation has been sent to her parents, and so they're gonna have to party somewhere else. So they're gonna party at the Biddle house. So Isaiah's dressed up as 4. James is dressed up as a cat, like from like from DC. Yeah. 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 And then it's dressed up as someone from Kill Bill, and then they head in the house, and then the lights go out. Then Margot comes, and Isaiah invited her, and Allison was very upset at Isaiah for inviting Margot because she doesn't like Margot. Then when Isaiah heads down to the basement, the door shuts behind him, and then he finds the camera, and he's able to open the door, and the people are banging on the door, and then James hit his head on the clock. Isaiah pops up with the Sages and Die reference, say cheese! He takes pictures of Margaret and Allison. And then the pictures don't show yet, but then the party happens, and then Margaret has a crush on a student named Lucas Parker. And then Nathan comes, and he kicks everybody out of the party. So then when Allison heads to the woods, she comes across the ghost of Harold Biddle. The kid had died in the fire, and then Isaiah saves Allison. Then the next day at school, Nathan gives Isaiah back his backpack. And then Isaiah sees photos of Allison in the forest, and Margot eating peanuts but having an allergic reaction. So then Margot gets a peanut from the vending machine and sees Harold Biddle, and then she eats it, and then she gets an allergic reaction. Then Isaiah saves her, and then he goes to tell James about it, but James didn't believe him. And then he goes to tell Margaret about this as well, but she didn't believe him either. So as they head into the basement, he burned down the camera, but that's not good. It's not it. Because remember, I forgot, James took a picture of Isaiah, and his thing is be about where he gets where he gets left unbroken on the field. So later, Isaiah's playing football with his teammates. Then when he heads in the locker, he finds the camera, and then when he heads back, the hallucination begins, and Isaiah sees one of his football players transforming into Harold, and the referee as well. So Lucas's mom, Nora, the coffee shop owner we saw in the beginning of the story, in the harbor stop, Lawrence, she's the only one who sees what's actually happening. So the monsters are chasing Isaiah until they break his arm. Then he gets sent to the hospital, and then Nora tells Ben that she saw Harold Biddle because she believes that he's come back to make them pay for what they did to him by attacking their children. But of course, Ben doesn't seem to believe her. Then later, Nathan is hanging at his house, and then hears the lights flickering, and he thinks it's the kids. But as these Harold Biddle's ghosts appear, then he enters his body, and he possesses him. And part 2 is the haunted mask. And this is the first flashback back to the day of the Halloween party. So the next day, as Bella wakes up and she's on the phone and she's texting people, and she's revealed to be the internet troll that's been trolling people online in school, and she sent the invite of Allison's invitation to the party to her parents, so they partied out of the Biddle house. So Isabella decided to go to the Biddle house. So Isabella has a little brother named Alan. And so Isabella put on her vampire costume and headed to the Biddle house. And so it's revealed that nobody can see her because she's an invisible girl. Oh. And then Isabella heard some noises from the basement. And then in the basement she found the haunted mask, and she puts it on, and their costume changes. And she dances on the party, and then she gets home, she struggles to take off the mask, and she's able to take it off. And she goes to sleep, and then the next day she has to school. Then it comes back to Nathan, who has now been possessed by Harold Biddle. He goes to school, trouble controlling his body. He's bumping his head on the walls and the lockers, and heads to the bathroom. He sees Harold in the mirror, telling him to find someone. Comes back to Isaiah. Isaiah got released a few days after he was sent to the hospital. Then Margot comes apologizing for what happened the other day, and she asks him what he saw in the field. But Isaiah tells her to stay out of this. And Isaiah goes to school, and he sees that the camera is not seen in his locker anymore. Then Nathan freaks him out, being possessed by Harold by dressing up as a referee. And then Isaiah goes to ask Isabella about the video of the football field. She shows him the video of the football field. Isaiah sees that then outside, Lucas damages Isabella's $3,000 drone. They both are sent to the office, and they're being confronted by Margaret's dad, Colin, who was the guidance school counselor of the school, and he confronts them. So he demands Lucas to apologize to Isabella for what happened, and so he does. The mask whispers to her, saying that Lucas is a liar. So Isabella chats with both of them, and then she accepts the $3 weekly. And then when Isabella gets home, her mom, Victoria Jen Lopez, grounds her or takes her electronics away. And later, Nathan heads to the store and gets some bread. And then at night, Z goes to talk to Azia about what happened on the night of the field, but Ben stops her, tells her to go home. And then Nora gives Margot the photo of Harold Biddle. So then when he head to the playground, Azia finally tells Margot what he saw on the field. She confirms it's Harold Biddle. So back home, Isabella puts on the mask, getting to pay Lucas for what she did to the drone. So at the shop, Lucas is out doing skateboarding, and then Isabella comes and attacks him while wearing the mask. She turns into a troll, and Azia and Margot save him. Isabella heads back to her home, and her brother, her brother Alan recognizes her, and then she chases her to the farm in the cabin, and then Alice calls out to her, and Isabella gets the mask off of her. The next they head to the swamp, and then they throw the mask in the swamp, and then Nathan comes and he scoops out the mask. The later Ben calls all the parents to come, including James' mom and Liza, to all have a meeting with Nora about the strange events that has been happening. Then James and Isabella are playing pool, and then Isabella hits him on the butt with a head, and he turns into a goop pool of slime. Then part 3's Cuckoo Clock of Doom is about James' storyline. Chip's back to the party, and James kept hitting his head on the clock, and he keeps creating a duplicate version of him, like he goes back in time like a Groundhog Day scenario to get sent back to the party. And James has a crush on a guy named Sam. So James stops the clock, and then they both head out. And the next day at home, James found out that he created duplicate versions of himself, and so they capture him and they trap him in a old mine, and they trap him in a pit. It comes back to Isabella where she was playing pool with James and she hit him on the head with a ball. The parents come, Isabella tries to tell them what happened, so they didn't believe her, so then her mom takes her home. Later when Isabella's hanging out back at home, she sees the dupe James outside from the window, telling her to stay silent. And then, it comes back to Azia and Margot. They're trying to figure out what's been going on, they're discussing about everything that's been going on lately. Yeah. And then, comes back to Mr. Brad, who's possessed by Harold Biddle. He's dancing in his house, and he's eating worms for breakfast, and then he starts smashing the radio. Then Colin heads to his house, and then he hangs out with them. Comes back to the kids, and they try to get Nora to tell them what's been happening, but she doesn't want to tell them this time. So that James' clone self took over his life. Taking over his life, and then head to school to talk to James, but then discover that he's a dupe James. So team up with Isabella to find James, and they find him in the old mine. But they captured by duplicate version of James, and then Azia finds James, and they destroy all the dupe James. And then so they head to the cafe restaurant, and they call Margaret's mom Sarah Stokes. Her mom Sarah is in Seattle while her dad Colin is in her dad Colin is in Port Lawrence with her. So her mom and dad have been having a separation for such a long time. And then comes back to Mr. Brett, so the dupe James gives him the suitcase, but he discovers nothing in it, so he smashes the dupe James with a brick. And part 4 is Go Eat Worms, and it's Lucas Parker. Lucas Parker is a daredevil like his father. His father died while we're doing a bike stunt. Hang on. So he wants to do a memory of his father. So then Lucas heads to his house. And then later it's revealed that Lucas' mom Nora is having a crush on Margaret's dad Colin. So then when Lucas is outside, he sees they're having a love affair in the car. And so Lucas has a missing eyeball. So Lucas has to school, seeing that Mr. Brad's talking to Colin. And Mr. Brad tries to take the eyeball from Lucas, but he has to classroom. And then when Mr. Brad looks in the mirror, it's Harold, and he tells him that Nora has him. So then Lucas meets up with Margaret, and he reveals that his mom Nora has been having a love affair with her dad Colin. She's so horrified by this. So Lucas has the worms from the fish tank, which he got from the party at the Biddle house. Puts one in his mouth. And so Margaret heads back home, and then during the night, Lucas is sleeping and the worms enter his body. Then the next morning, Lucas is having trouble eating his food. He's eating junk from the trash can. And then, at the school he acts very strangely. So then, Isaiah tells Allison that he made Margaret to help her cheat on the exam. So then she told Colin about this. I forgot at the beginning of the story, Isaiah and Margot cheated to participate on the football team. And then Lucas goes out to Margot, but then Margot gets put into the office by her dad Colin, who scolds her for cheating on the test. Then Margot confronts her dad for cheating on her mom. Then Lucas gets his motorcycle and he just smashes Colin's car. He plans to expel him from school. Then Margot discovers that he has worms in his body. So he's heading to the Booms of Doom where his father had died. So Margaret heads to the store to tell Nora about this, and she follows her to the Booms of Doom where his dad died. So then Lucas is about to make the jump, but then Nora comes and tells him that his father wanted to make the jump. And then the worms enter out of his body, and then they grow into a huge monster. Head to this warehouse, like this. And then they defeat the monster. And then Margaret and Lucas go with their kids, and then Nora gets put into the psycho ward after she told them what happened. And guess who works there? It's Bella's mom, Victoria. That's right, hurry. And part 5 is Reader Beware, which is Margot's storyline. So Nora is in the psycho ward, and she's drinking the pills from the doctor, and then she sees the ghost of Harry Benno in her room. So Isaiah told James that he broke up with Allison. So Margot's flirting with Lucas, and then her mom comes. They're having dinner, and then so back at the bid house, Mr. Brad's having the scrapbook. And then he gives it to Margot. And when she opens the book, she sees the vision of this flashback of 1993 with Harry Benno hanging out with Margot's mom, Sarah. She has an ABB club and she sees more. She sees them developing photos of the camera, the mask, and like the worms. And then Sarah visits Nora in the hospital, and she confronts Victoria for dating her. That's right, for like. And then she tells her to stop taking the pills. So that they head to the auditorium room, and then Margot uses the book to see the flashback of more versions of Harry Biddle. Then she gets trapped in the scrapbook. And then, so then they use open the scrapbook to see Margot in the scrapbook. So then the Harry Biddle drags Margot to the house where he sees the kids in the black hoods where they're taking Biddle to the basement. They're pranking him and they accidentally kill Biddle by taking the case. So the teens save Margot, and then yeah. And then the teens suspect that their parents are murderers. But then Mr. Brad comes in to tell them the whole story. But then part 6 is Night of the Living Dummy. So Mr. Pratt tells him the whole story. So then flashback back to 1925 to Nathan's grandfather Abraham. He was a musician. So he gets a suitcase from the store, and guess what he got? Slappy the Dummy. Now Slappy's cover is on the face of the book. So Abraham read the words Carew, Marie, Adana, Loma, Milanu, Carano. So then Slappy's eye blinks. And when he takes him to the stage, Slappy performs with them, and it becomes a success. But then as years go by, their shows aren't successful anymore. So the manager tells him to change the dummy, but he refuses. So he turns the man into a dummy. Then later in his house, they brought him a coffin. With something named Candu. So Abraham is about to repeat the spell until he had a vision of 1,000 people burning on a towering spire. So Abraham traps Slappy in the box, and 2 weeks later he moves into the house where the Biddle kid is going to be living at. Then the part 2 flashback is 1993, and so Harry Biddle and his family move into the house. His parents move there, and so at school he makes some new friends. It's the kids from the present timeline. It's their parents. It's Isaiah's father Ben. It's Margaret's mom Sarah. James' mother Eliza, and Isabella's mom Victoria. So then Biddle found Slappy in the basement, and he plays with him. So he reads the words Carew, Maria, Donna, Loma, Milanu, Carano. His eye blinks, and then he uses him on the show. Then Slappy performs with him. And so Harold begins to get controlled by Slappy, which Nora completely realized and told Sarah about this. So his parents think he's spending too much time with Slappy, so they throw him in the fireplace, but discover that he can't burn. So then Harold turns his parents into dummies. Now the show Harold performs with Slappy, and Slappy performs with him. So the next night, the teens take Slappy away from him, but their plan doesn't work because Harold gets burned in the fire. So they put him in the old mine. Back in the present, Nathan and Mr. Pratt reveals to them that he's possessed by Harold. He traps him in the scrapbook. So now the teens are trapped in the scrapbook with the real Mr. Brad. So then, come back to the future, the alternate timeline, the human world. Nora leaves the psycho world, and she discovers that Mr. Brad's been possessed by Harold, who begins stalking her. well, for the gas station. And so then Colin tells Ben that Nora has a dummy. So then Ben goes with Eliza back to the old mine, and they can't do our dupe, James. This is when they finally believe Nora the Biddle has come back. So back in the scrapbook, the teens and the kids, the teens are teaming up with Nathan to get out of the scrapbook. So Isabella gets on the rope and heads into this auditorium room to see people turning into puppets. So Isabella goes back up, and then they're punching Mr. Brown in the face, and then he keeps getting some back, and then they both fight over each other of who's possessing who. Then Mr. Brad drops a scrapbook on the ground in the wet. The scrapbook melts for the ages, and they get sent down to the science classroom, and they meet Harebell's parents, who tell them that they won't leave until their son moves on with them. So Brad draws the door, which sets them free. Then Mr. Brad's going to be searching for Nora to get hold of Slappy. So Nora heads to the mountains, and she goes there to bury Slappy. But Mr. Brad's followed her, who was Harold, so he's chasing her throughout the mountains, and he gets a hold of Slappy, which basically puts all of his body pieces all back together. So then all the teens come to searching for Nora. And all the parents come too, and then they find Nora, and then Steve falls down on a cliff, on the edge of a cliff, and then Slappy and Harold are about to kill him. Then all of them come and they confess to him that it's actually Slappy. So Margaret calls him Hairbell, like his parents used to. So Harold saves Isaiah, and he knocks Slappy off the cliff. He leaves Haven's body. He goes with his parents and goes to afterlife with them. But then it shifts back to a flashback to months earlier to Portland, Oregon, with Nathan teaching at a different high school. And then so then Nathan is writing a book about the events, what happened. So the teens are all moving on from the events of what happened last time. So the teens are all planning to go to Seattle for the weekend. So then, when they have Seattle, Nathan gets a call from someone saying they need to change the ending. So he has trouble with the change the ending. So what does he decide to do? He decides to go all the way back to the mountains to catch Slappy. So he brings him home. He brings him back to life by reading the words from the card. And then, back in Seattle, Lucas and Margaret are having a breakup conversation. So Lucas leaves while Margaret stays in Seattle with the teens. So back in Port Lawrence, Mr. Pratt gets the coffin from the gravestone with his dog Fifi. And then he brings it to the house. So then Nathan has a vision of 1,000 people burning on his fire. But guess what he does? He reads the magic words, and the spirit leaves Slappy. So we learn that he never actually has been the dummy Slappy the whole time. He has been the sorcerer Kandu the whole time. So after Nathan read the spell, the spirit left the dummy's body, heads into the casket to the coffin, and the spirit body of Kandu reanimates from the casket. And after he reanimates from the casket, Ben enters the house, then Kandu turns him into a puppet. In 1819, we learn the flashback of Kandu that he was a soldier. And then he falls on a tomb and he reads a wall which make him immortal, reading a spell on a wall. The years go by, heads into Mahara, heads into a visit puppeteer's carnival, meets the puppeteer Franz Mahar. So Kandu makes a deal with him to build a spire. So as the years go by, Mahar discovers that Kandu is turning people into puppets. And Mahar makes a dummy, so then Kandu gets trapped into it. And then They're back in the present. The teens are around in Seattle while Lucas heads back home. And he meets up again with his father. And then Lucas gets turned into a dummy by Kandu. Guess who disguises his father? So he turned his mom Nora into a dummy as well. And when the teens get back home, they discover that their parents have been controlled by dummies by Kandu. So they go to find Lucas. So they follow Lucas by riding his motorcycle. And at the time, discover Lucas has been turned into a dummy. So her parents drag him in the tent. Then Nathan reveals to them that he made a deal with Kandu. And then Kandu appears and he reveals that he's been the mastermind all along. So then Kandu shows them the flashback of the war battlefield where he was at. He showed them the spells on the wall. So then Kandu orders Fifi to kill the teens, but Nathan stops. Nathan kills the dog, and then so Nathan reveals to them that he's gonna plan to stop Kandu but bring Mahar back to life. So minutes later, Kandu is gonna ignite the people on the spire. Then Mahar shows up and he tricks Kandu to light the spire. Then Kandu turns into a dummy. So they try to find the spell, but then Kandu returns to normal. And then Margaret finds the reversal spell and he reverts Kandu back to the soldier. Souls come back. They drag Kandu back to hell, but now for shooting Isaiah. They all get sent to the hospital, and Margaret just brings Isaiah back to life. The story's conclusion, Nathan heads to the bathroom, and he sees Kandu in the mirror. That's it. After the story of Goosebumps, the haunting returns. So, what do you think of the story? Love it. Great story overall. A great story. Love it. Love the characters, and I love the whole idea of season 1 of Goosebumps being all about paranormal and supernatural and all that stuff, like dummies and cameras and masks and all that stuff, and I love it. Story's really cool along with the flashbacks and that stuff, and it's really amazing. I just love the antagonists in it. I know it's Kandu. I know Sloppy was never actually Sloppy the whole time. He was actually the sorcerer named Kandu. And so also there was Herod Biddle. I thought the monsters was really cool, and I know there was the mask, the camera, the worms, the clock, and then there was a scrapbook, and then just Kandu. I know, episode 9 and 10 were all about Kandu. Kandu wanted to perform a ritual of the spire where he is going to sacrifice people on a towering spire. So the script was really cool, and about the writing was very amazing. And about the background was really cool, and about the direction was really amazing. And also about the 7 locations in the story were really cool, and also about the and so also about the CGI was really cool in the book, about the structure was really amazing, about the pacing was really cool, and about steaming was very amazing, about the characterization was really cool. So the climax battle was amazing, and felt the twist ending was really cool. So I really love this book, really enjoy it. I give solid book a solid 10 out of 10, an S+. So thank you guys for joining my book review of Goosebumps Season 1, The Haunting Returns from 2023. And if you guys like, can comment and share and subscribe to my channel. And see you guys next time. And goodbye, everyone. See you soon. Until next time.